let's bring in NHL Network insider Elliot Friedman for more on details with this deal. How does this impact other young defensemen around the league, Elliot, in your estimation?
Well, Jackie, it's a precedent-setting deal. You guys were talking about the Seth Jones extension. That's all unrestricted free agent years. Makar's deal is only 1 year of unrestricted free agency. So for a player who doesn't have that freedom of movement to get this kind of a deal, we haven't seen that before for a defenseman. Yes, absolutely, it affects Adam Fox. It affects maybe on a bit of a lesser level Rasmus Dahlin of Buffalo. Quinn Hughes, also of the Vancouver Canucks, who is not offer sheet eligible, and they'll meet again next week to start talking to resume talks about that contract. The other thing, Jackie, we're keeping an eye on today, the conclusion, the official announcement of the Sam Reinhart deal from Buffalo to Florida. The thing everybody was working through was the conditions of the draft picks that the Sabres are getting in return from Florida.
Kevin Adams and his staff has certainly been busy over the last few days. I'll follow up on Cale Makar real quick. How does this impact Landeskog, if at all?
Oh, sorry. My apologies, Jackie. I didn't realize you were talking to me directly. I think the thing about Landeskog is obviously the #1 priority was Makar, and they wanted to get his deal done to see all of the space they had around it. I think that I expect that the Avalanche will resume negotiations with Landeskog at some point over the next couple of days. I believe, though, that Colorado has a number. They're not telling anybody what that number is, but they have a number that they won't go beyond for Landeskog. So I think it's going to be, are both sides willing to bend a bit? Are both sides willing to be creative in a way to stay where Colorado needs to go? But I believe that Makar was always the first priority, and everything else that happened was going to be determined by where Makar ended up.
From talking Minnesota to the information superhighway, Sabres PR. It's official. The Sabres have acquired goaltender Devin Levi and a first-round pick in the 2022 NHL Draft from the Florida Panthers in exchange for forward Sam Reinhart.
What are you calling this? The fight for right.
Oh,
right. Yep, for right.
Let's see if Elliot Friedman agrees with that. Elliot, is that indeed your perspective, the fight for right?
I think there's going to be a few of the teams, Tony, this year that are going to be in position where they're looking to do that. You look at what Arizona's done. You look at what Buffalo's done. There's definitely going to be some teams that are saying, look, we're going to take some pain in order to do some things for the future. Buffalo, they've talked about prospects and picks in just about every deal they've discussed. Arizona has taken on contracts to improve the number of picks it's gotten. So there's going to be more than one team in this conversation. I think the interesting thing about this particular deal is that, I think Buffalo, Levi's a really interesting prospect. He played really well for Canada at the World Juniors when he was hurt. And also they had Spencer Knight, the young goaltender of the future, who won the gold medal at that event. I just think Buffalo's looking for goaltending prospects, too. If you look at their overall situation at that position, with Ullmark testing free agency, they've got room there for people to play. I think the other thing that's going to be kind of interesting, and we talked about Eichel last night, Buffalo is still looking for a definite prospect pick-based deal there. I think they talked pretty heavily with Montreal yesterday. It was quiet last night. We'll see where anything here goes.
So, looking back at the 2014 draft, here are the top 4 picks. Aaron Ekblad, Sam Reinhart, Leon Draisaitl, Sam Bennett. 3 of the 4 are now on the same team. And the other one is a Hart Trophy Art Ross winner. Turns out those 4 can play. Your reaction?
I don't know if Florida is going to be finished yet. I think they've got a lot of business they're working on. They're looking at re-signing Sam Bennett. We'll see what they do with Sam Reinhart, who's got 1 year until unrestricted free agency. I think they're looking at doing some other deals for the likes of Venberg, Verhaeghe. They've got Barkov up in a year. I know they'd like to be proactive about that. And the other thing, too, is I think they're one of the teams, Tony, that's also made a pitch for Ryan Suter. Now, I think Suter will probably make his decision by around Monday. I've heard Dallas has been in there pretty hard. There have been the reports about the Islanders. We know how much Lou Lamoriello loves hearing Islanders rumors out there. But I think Florida's been around there, too. I think the Panthers are making a real push. I think they're going to be a really interesting team to watch. Also, one of the former Panthers, Keith Yandel, I think he's got some decisions to make, too, because there's been plenty of interest in him since he was bought out.
Fascinating stuff. That consecutive game streak will always keep us intrigued.